So today at Heavy Metal, we're going to be working on an LS3 block. In this particular instance, the customer is going to be turbocharging it, so we're going to put in ARP main studs, and that is a higher clamp load over a factory torque yield bolt. So it's going to shrink up the housing bore, so we're going to have to line hone it. So let's start fresh and shrink the caps and make sure the bore is completely true and round. Now, other reasons why you may want to line hone your block is maybe you're starting fresh, and even if you use 1/over bearings, your crank's on the high side and your housing bore is on the low side. You're going to have to open it up. Or perhaps you've done a season of racing and the crank's whipping around, beating up the bearings, which are transferring onto the main bore and shifting things around. You're just going to have to address it as you go. To start here, we use the Sunnen CRG 920. It's kind of Sunnen is the industry standard when it comes to automotive honing needs. And we will be shrinking the caps around 4/1000ths of an inch. When starting to shrink the caps, the first thing you want to do when using a stone is dress it, because it's going to give you a nice finish. If you use an undressed stone, it could be uneven. It's also going to lead to chatter marks and heat, which is going to build up and transfer onto the part, which could leave high spots in your cap. So just first thing first, diamond dress it. A couple thou will do, but it makes all the difference. So you want to sneak up to it and just touch off, just so you can barely hear it start to touch. And there's highs and lows in these caps, especially from the factory. So what you're doing is just touching the very peaks of any material. So 1:1 is not really in this case, where you're not going to take 6/1000ths off on the gauge and actually shrink your cap 6/1000ths. It just doesn't happen that way. So you're going to have to clean it up, then sink it the appropriate amount. So in grinding, you don't really want to take off more than 1/1000th at a time. I know that sounds painfully slow, but if you take off more than that, you're going to build heat between the stone and the cap. And when you build heat, it actually wants to grow. And if it grows while you're grinding, it'll take off more than desired. And then you start chasing stuff, because over here, it's going to take off more than over here, or it's going to take off more than desired. And then by the time you're all said and done, you're all torqued up, this cap's going to be different from this cap. So you just want to be even in everything you're doing. And then as you're taking it off, 1/1000th off at a time, when you first make the adjustment, you're going to hear it under load. But as you make subsequent passes, it's going to get less and less, because you're actually, they call it spark out or spark off, one of the two. And now you know you just took off like a true 1/1000ths, and it stopped sparking when it stopped under load. And once we get a straight and true surface, we want to take off basically you want to shrink these about 3 to 4/1000ths, because any more than that, you're just taking off excess material, and you don't want to change the crankshaft center line. But that's also why on these blocks with aluminum block and steel cap, we hone them upright, so to kind of let gravity help us out, because when you do it traditionally, it's going to push off this harder steel cap and just eat into the aluminum block, which changes your center line, which over time could mess up your dimensions from your bell housing bolts to the center line, making a transmission, or make your timing chain sloppy. So you just want to try to change it as little as possible, but make it straight and true. Nice. Everything is cleaned up completely across the face. Good RA finish. Ready for the next step.